Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes JD.com unit dives 46% after disclosing suspicious revenue. Asia's data center landscape is red hot but increasingly complex. China and India race to expand aircraft carrier fleets. Hong Kong stocks halt 5-day slide on bets China to cut rates to spur growth. Higher Hong Kong public service fees won't help to balance books, economists say. JD.com unit dives 46% after disclosing suspicious revenue. Bloomberg. Data Nexus Limited, a unit of JD.com Inc., has revealed that it is investigating suspicious practices that may have led to the overstatement of approximately 1 billion Chinese yuan, $140 million, in revenue and costs. The company said it may have overstated around 500 million Chinese yuan in sales from online advertising and marketing, as well as the same amount in operating and support costs. Dada has withdrawn its revenue outlook for 2023 as a result. JD.com's share price dropped by 46% following the disclosure. Dada has enlisted independent advisors to assist with a review of the situation. Asia's data center landscape is red hot but increasingly complex. Financial Times. The rise of artificial intelligence (AI) in Asia is driving demand for data centers in the region. However, multinational companies face a dilemma when deciding where to locate their facilities. Governments in countries such as China and Vietnam have tightened data regulations in the name of national security. This has led to concerns among businesses about the ramifications of transferring data out of these countries. While it makes economic sense to build a consolidated facility in one country that can serve multiple markets, governments are increasingly restricting cross-border data flows. China and India race to expand aircraft carrier fleets. Nikkei Asia. China and India are both working to expand their naval capabilities as their rivalry in the Indo-Pacific region intensifies. China's third aircraft carrier, the Fujian, is expected to soon enter sea trials. It is equipped with electromagnetic catapults, which allow for aircraft to take off carrying more weight in missiles and fuel, improving their range and combat capabilities. China's military wants more vessels to be equipped with these catapults, which has led to speculation that it could turn to nuclear power for its fourth aircraft carrier. India is also planning to commission a third aircraft carrier to bolster its naval capabilities. Hong Kong stocks halt 5-day slide on bets China to cut rates to spur growth. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong stocks rose after Beijing suggested there would be more policy support to boost the nation's flagging economic growth. The Hang Seng Index increased by 0.6% and halted a cumulative decline of 4.8% in the preceding 5 trading days. The tech index also rose by 0.9% from a 13-month low. The Shanghai Composite Index remained mostly unchanged. Companies that experienced gains included Alibaba Group, HSBC, and Baidu. Higher Hong Kong public service fees won't help to balance books, economists say. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's ballooning financial deficit will not be solved by increasing charges for public services, economists have warned, instead urging the government to focus on improving the business environment and boosting land premiums. Paul Chan Imopa, the financial secretary, recently predicted a deficit of more than 100 billion Hong Kong dollars, $14.1 billion, for the 2023-24 financial year. Public service charges account for less than 4% of total revenue and have been frozen for years or even decades. 4 people charged over alleged plot to smuggle hundreds of Australian native reptiles to Hong Kong. Associated Press. 4 people have been charged in connection with a plot to smuggle Australian native reptiles from Sydney to Hong Kong. The reptiles, mostly lizards, were found tightly bound in small containers for export. Police estimate that each reptile would sell for an average of $5,000 $3,365 on the black market, making the haul worth over $1.2 million $808,000. The rescued reptiles have been handed over to zoos and wildlife parks to be examined by veterinarians before being released into the wild. The investigation into illegal reptile exports began in September 2016 after 9 packages containing 59 lizards were intercepted on their way to Hong Kong. Bautista Agut, Shapovalov fall in first round in Auckland. Associated Press. Two-time champion Roberto Bautista Agut has been eliminated from the ASB Classic in the first round by fellow Spaniard Roberto Carballes Baena. Bautista Agut, who won the Auckland title in 2016 and 2018, appeared rusty and lacked touch in the match. Despite rallying back at one point, he ultimately lost the match in straight sets. In another upset, former number 10 ranked Denis Shapovalov was knocked out in the first round in his first competitive match since July due to a knee injury. Cathay Pacific Union calls for government inquiry into pilot shortage. Bloomberg. Cathay Pacific Airways Limited's pilot union has called for a government inquiry into the airline's handling of mass flight cancellations. The union blames the current problems on steep job cuts made during the pandemic. The union's chairman called for an examination of management decisions in 2020 and a change in leadership responsible for flight operations. The union's call comes after Hong Kong Transport Secretary expressed concern over the flight cancellations. Cathay Pacific has said that the flight cuts are due to pilots hitting flying limits. The airline's chronic shortage of pilots is a result of job cuts during the height of the pandemic. Desk Appeal, 6 of Tokyo's quirkiest co-working spaces. Financial Times. Tokyo offers a variety of work-friendly spots where one can be productive while enjoying the city. Some options include Little Darling Coffee Roasters, a spacious cafe with Wi-Fi and limited power outlets, as well as a plant and flower shop. Megutama is a diner that also houses a collection of around 5,000 photography books, providing creative inspiration for those in need. Fuglen Asakusa offers a taste of Norway with its vintage Nordic decor and comfortable seating options, making it a great place to work while enjoying a coffee and Norwegian waffles. Dawn Avatar Robot Cafe uses technology to provide a unique social experience, with remote-controlled avatars operated by people with disabilities taking orders and engaging in friendly conversation. Tsutaya Share Lounge, located on the 11th floor of a bookstore, offers internet access, power outlets at every seat, and stunning city views. Customers can also enjoy free-flowing beverages and snacks. Flux Cafe in the hip neighborhood of Shimokitazawa offers exercise equipment such as stationary bicycles and stability balls, allowing visitors to work out while working. The cafe is part of a wellness complex that also includes a gym and a variety of unique stores. Overall, these work-friendly spots in Tokyo provide a mix of productivity and enjoyment, allowing visitors to get their work done in a fun and inspiring environment. The Taiwan Party promising peace with China. BBC. As Taiwan's presidential election approaches, the Kuomintang, KMT, party is attempting to sway voters by presenting the election as a choice between war and peace with China. The KMT has long advocated for closer ties with China, which has become Taiwan's biggest buyer of exports and an important economic lifeline for Taiwanese businessmen. However, the KMT is facing challenges in appealing to an electorate that is increasingly distancing itself from China. Many Taiwanese identify as possessing a unique Taiwanese identity and prefer the status quo of neither declaring independence nor unifying with the mainland. The KMT has had to adjust its messaging accordingly, insisting that it is not pro-China but rather seeks friendlier relations. KMT candidate Ho Uih, a moderate ex-cop, has responded to Chinese President Xi Jinping's vow of unification by promising to forever protect Taiwan's democratic system and freedoms. However, the KMT's rhetoric closely echoes China's language, which may not be well received by some voters. Furthermore, it is uncertain whether a KMT government would be able to appease Beijing and guarantee peace, and there is a growing gulf between what voters want for Taiwan's relationship with China and what the KMT stands for. Samsung profit tumbles 35% as chip weakness persists. Bloomberg. Samsung Electronics Company has reported its sixth consecutive quarter of declining operating profit due to weak global demand for consumer electronics. The company's operating income fell by 35% to KRW 2.8 trillion tons, $2.1 billion, missing analysts' estimates. The results highlight the sluggish demand for smartphones and memory chips, despite a better-than-expected revenue outlook from rival Micron Technology. Samsung has forecast a gradual recovery in the memory market by 2024, driven by the boom in AI development. The company plans to increase its capacity in the high-density memory chip segment in order to catch up with rival SK Hynix. ICICI is hiring 30 investment bankers on expectations for record fundraising in India. Bloomberg. ICICI Bank, India's second-largest private lender, plans to hire 30 professionals to strengthen its investment banking division amid expectations of record-high fundraising by companies in the country this year and next. The bank's securities unit, ICICI Securities, will add 15 new hires in investment banking and another 15 in sales, trading, and research. The move is in response to an anticipated increase in deal activity in India, driven by a favorable investment environment and political stability. A $32 billion rout may not be end of Tencent's woes. Yahoo! China's latest restrictions on gaming have caused Tencent to lose $32 billion from its stock. The fall has been so severe that investors have now started to hedge their bets in the options market. The new rules have brought back memories of the crackdown on gaming in 2021 and has caused Tencent's stock to fall around 8% since the new restrictions were announced. Hong Kongers in Taiwan firmly support the ruling party after watching China erode freedoms at home. Yahoo! Many immigrants from Hong Kong are supporting Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, as the country's presidential election approaches, according to an article in AP News. Since Beijing's imposition of a national security law on Hong Kong in 2020, Taiwan has become a haven for free speech and liberties, and many immigrants from Hong Kong have moved to the island. However, the Taiwanese government's concerns over security risks posed by China have complicated application procedures and resulted in residency denials for some. Despite this, most immigrants from Hong Kong continue to support the DPP, largely due to the party's firm stance on autonomy from Beijing. Other immigrants from Hong Kong are running for political office in Taiwan. Shui Pak Tai, a former Hong Kong pro-democracy district councillor, is running for legislative office in Taiwan, while Hong Sunming, a protester who moved to Taiwan in 2019, is a member of the pro-independence Taiwan State-Building Party. As Taiwan election looms, Beijing uses economic coercion to pressure voters. South China Morning Post. As Taiwan's presidential election approaches, Taiwanese businesses are looking to diversify their export markets amid increasing tensions with mainland China. Many businesses have realized the need to minimize their dependence on trade with mainland China due to the recent turbulence in cross-strait relations. The Taiwanese government has been hosting lectures to educate businesses on how to expand their markets beyond mainland China. The government has also increased the number of lectures for fishing businesses in particular, as the ban on grouper fish from Taiwan has hit over 2,000 fisheries. Beijing has been clear in sending a political message with its economic tactics, warning Taiwanese voters that they are choosing between peace versus war and prosperity versus decline. Beijing has used economic tactics, such as export bans on Taiwanese products, to try to discourage the Taiwanese government from seeking independence. However, these tactics have had limited impact on Taiwanese voters, who are more concerned with the growing security threat from mainland China. Taiwanese businesses are now focusing on diversifying their export markets and reducing their reliance on mainland China. China's economic approach has also impacted Taiwanese politicians. In October, China conducted a review of tax audits and land use by Foxconn Technology Group after the company's founder, Terry Gou, announced his bid for Taiwan's presidency. The review was seen as a message of Beijing's disapproval of Gou's run for office. Gou dropped out of the race in December. The opposition party, Kuomintang, KMT, has called for the resumption of communication with mainland authorities and has credited the partial lifting of Beijing's ban on fish imports as an example of how the KMT is better at managing cross-strait relations than the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP. However, economic coercion from Beijing is unlikely to impact how Taiwanese voters cast their ballots. That's all for today's news update. Let's recap the highlights. Data Nexus, a unit of JD.com, is investigating suspicious practices that may have led to an overstatement of 1 billion Chinese yuan in revenue and costs. Asia's data center landscape is booming due to the rise of artificial intelligence, but multinational companies are facing challenges due to tightened data regulations in countries like China and Vietnam. China and India are racing to expand their aircraft carrier fleets as their rivalry in the Indo-Pacific region intensifies. Hong Kong stocks rose after Beijing suggested more policy support to boost economic growth. Hong Kong's increasing public service fees won't solve the ballooning financial deficit, according to economists. 4 people have been charged in connection with a plot to smuggle Australian native reptiles from Sydney to Hong Kong. 2-time champion Roberto Bautista Agut was eliminated from the ASB Classic in the first round, and Denis Shapovalov was knocked out in his first competitive match since July due to a knee injury. Cathay Pacific's pilot union has called for a government inquiry into the airline's handling of mass flight cancellations. Tokyo offers a variety of quirky co-working spaces where you can be productive and enjoy the city. The Kuomintang, KMT, party in Taiwan is presenting the upcoming presidential election as a choice between war and peace with China. Samsung Electronics reported a decline in operating profit due to weak global demand for consumer electronics. ICICI Bank in India plans to hire 30 investment bankers amid expectations of record-high fundraising by companies in the country. Tencent has lost $32 billion from its stock due to China's latest restrictions on gaming. Many immigrants from Hong Kong and Taiwan are supporting the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, due to Beijing's erosion of freedoms in Hong Kong. Taiwanese businesses are looking to diversify their export markets amid increasing tensions with mainland China. In today's analysis, we see a mix of challenges and opportunities across different sectors. From potential revenue overstatement and data regulations impacting businesses, to the race to expand naval capabilities in the Indo-Pacific region. We also see the impact of government policies on stock markets, the need for fiscal reform in Hong Kong, and the consequences of illegal smuggling. On a lighter note, we explore unique co-working spaces in Tokyo and the political dynamics leading up to Taiwan's presidential election. Now, over to you. What are your thoughts on these news stories? Do you have any questions or opinions you'd like to share? Let's hear them. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6 due brief via email.